Well, thanks for that introduction, Ty, and thanks to all of you that are on the call today. So let's get started. All of us in the professional services space possess a unique marketing challenge. The fact is that few attorneys can stimulate demand. Alternative fee arrangements notwithstanding, you can't offer a businessman special on M&A work or a reduced rate if you act now on that divorce you're contemplating. You're needed only when you're needed. Moreover, the financial planners and those in the insurance field on this call are no doubt frustrated by those putting off planning and protection when they really shouldn't be. And the consumer has an unprecedented access to choices. Now, let's face it, you wouldn't have hung the shingle if you didn't believe that you were the best choice, but the fact is your competition is just as credentialed and qualified as you are. And time, well, it's your most precious commodity. You don't get paid for business development, but you won't get paid without it. The rule of thumb is that you have to spend about 10% of your time, and this means billable hours time, in rainmaking activities. And this applies to those working for a firm where they can leverage the firm brand and the marketing department if there is one. So there you are. It's all up to you as a solo practitioner, getting the client and serving the client. For those of you that watched our video on personal branding, recall Tom Peters coined this term decades ago. No, I'm not going to go over that in detail again, but if you want to look at it, you can go to the dynamicbiography.com/brand. Again, that's dynamicbiography.com/brand. But here's something really interesting. Take a look at the number of entries that are returned when you Google personal brand. It's well north of 250 million, almost 300 million. It's become culturally ingrained, but our view that has sort of jumped the shark. Its creative evolution declined long ago. Yet it gets all those searches and certification has become a cottage industry. Recall that there are three components to personal branding: passion, uniqueness, and a memorable tagline, or PUT as I like to say. Passion is an important thing in our lives, but at least for me, I reserve it for the things that I would risk my life for, like family and country. Personally, I think it's the most overwrought term in the business vernacular, and it really applies, if you're in the performing arts and maybe elementary education. But the bottom line is, I don't believe that your clients and the clients of the people on this call are really buying it. I think they value competency over an emotion. With respect to uniqueness, personality is the key thing, for it's the one thing that really makes us unique along with our fingerprints and DNA. Again, the notion that we have a unique selling proposition is really a stretch. Again, your competitors are as competent as you for the most part, so the client wants to work with someone they like. You needn't look beyond this to understand the importance of personality. This graph depicts where most people spend their time on legal websites, and that 30% portion is high because many of the people landing there is a result of a Google entry that'll return that link in the search. So they go there first, or have to go there, to get to the bio. And in the bio area is where they're going to meet you. They really care about who's sitting next to them in the courtroom. This is where the relationship really begins. And note that the bio is 6 times more important than practice area, and I think that's a significant thing. And then the tagline is really a slippery slope, because companies, and these are real brands, can pull off taglines effectively. What it is a very simple message, and they spend countless hours and millions of dollars to market test slogans. However, those in the professional services, you shouldn't attempt this, because what you're going to end up with is something probably silly or boring. A plumber may be able to get away with it, but let's face it, not you. Your message is predicated on an outcome. And here are the 4 things that people are buying from any professional services firm, including consultants, large or small. They want to make money. They want to save money. They want to get their problem solved. Or they want to get expert, actionable advice. That's it, just those 4 things. So the bottom line about personal branding, it's too internally focused, and obviously it's going to be because it's personal. there's too much attention, on getting attention basically. It's really they're very heavy on sizzle but no substance. It's largely a self-diagnostic process, often based on gut feel or what your friends and family think. Most of your prospects are high net worth, sophisticated people. Hyperbole isn't going to attract, and more often than not, it repels. Think about it. They're sharing things with you that they might not share with their spouse, their doctor. It's that personal. So the dynamic biography is really a better approach, and the concept is simple and based on two discrete actions: show and grow. Let's consider the show, specifically the how, the what, and the why. But first, I'd like to ask the audience a question. Using the hands up icon, how many of you are solo practitioners?